For more than 25 years, Gil Hanson has brought his passion and distinct aesthetic sense to his work, consulting to a host of Fortune 100 companies throughout the United States and around the world. He provides a strategic plan development and holistic design solutions that work across multiple media. Mr. Hanson has recently joined forces with Romeo Machado of Concepta Design to form Novamerge, an international brand design agency alliance to serve clients both in the US and in Brazil. He often speaks on the topic of human aesthetics, his own human-centric approach to design. As principal of the Philadelphia-based brand design firm he founded in 1988, Mr. Hanson consults on brand design as it relates to business and market strategies. Mr. Hanson has also authored numerous articles which have been published in national design and trade publications. He graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design and studied at Fleming College in Florence, Italy, and at Colby College in Waterville, Maine. You can find Gil's full bio and those Gil's full bio on the reminder you were sent yesterday and on the Brazilian American Chamber website. Thank you very much. Gil?
Thanks. Thanks so much, John, for that nice intro. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to a fun session with everybody, and hopefully it'll be educational as well. And what I'm going to do right now is share my screen so you can all see the presentation I have. See where it goes. Okay, that's John, it's me. Okay, share. So right now you're looking at a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to shift into presentation mode. Okay. Tell me if this is working for you.
Slide shorter, yeah, slideshow.
There you go. Does that sound good?
No. You need to go to slideshow, I think.
Your slideshow. There I am.
There you go.
Okay, good. So what we're going to do is explore what it means to be your best and to discover what a personal brand is. And I'm going to share with you some thoughts about it. And if anytime you want to sound out, have any questions, please do. Because sometimes you hit it at the moment, you get really excited, you want to express yourself, by all means. So if you're in an elevator and someone asks you what you do, what do you say? And that to me is sort of the cornerstone of a strong personal brand. And I've met people who can say that right away, very clearly, succinct, and others, they're not quite sure. They're puzzled, or, well, I sort of do all kinds of stuff. And one of the goals here in developing a personal brand is to be clear about who you are and what you want to say. So that's me, by the way. Your personal brand is your most important asset. You have an opportunity to be better every day. So personal branding is a verb. It's not a noun. Even though it sounds like a noun, it's really an action that takes place all the time. Once you establish your brand, you're able to observe it, be mindful of it, and that helps you during your day in all kinds of situations. So let's look at some personal brands, very current personal brands. I guess you all recognize the governor of New York. And so these are some quotes. And clearly during all this time with COVID-19, he's been on the news a lot, really out front, trying to help his state move along. And these are examples of strong personal brands. Now, they might not necessarily be your favorite brand of person, but they are who they are. So I'll show you a few more. Here's another one who's Anthony Fauci. He's on the TV a lot. And the thing about him, which I like so much, is he has brand authority. Like, you're going to listen to this guy, and he's had so many experiences. He always speaks truthful. And not and in a nice way. Like even if there's somebody real hard question he's being asked, he's very thoughtful about his responses. Here is a hero, a nurse in DC, and her statement here says it all. And there's been so many heroes in the last 4 months, 5 months that we've all seen. And we're all really appreciative of the first responders, the medical people, the nurses, everybody who's helped out to make it almost heal ourselves. Then there's other types of people who are also very well known right now. And he is synonymous with this company. And this is a very important thing to think about. There's so many people, whether they're government leaders or they're business leaders, their company, no matter what the size, is really affected by the CEO, the leader of the company. And this is certainly someone who's really in the news all the time, good or bad, but he really represents the company to the left. Here's another one, very popular, credible athlete, Serena Williams. And I love what she's saying here, because this is really the essence of a strong personal brand. It's me, and I love me. I've learned to love me. I've been like this my whole life, and I embrace me. I love how I look. Serena Williams. And she's obviously, we all know her. She's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. But she's also got this certain character, mojo, if you will, that really emulates her brand. Then this is Meek Mill, who's, his story we all know about. He was thrown in jail when he was 13, came out years later, started performing on the streets of music, and now he's a giant star. But the humility he carries with him from all those trials he went through are pretty amazing. And I think everybody, really sees him. He's the real guy. He's the real deal. It's not like making it up or faking it. He's definitely who he is. And this is Carl Speak. He's my partner in developing the personal brand. And he's really he invented it about 25 years ago. And he's been a mentor and a good friend, and we've partnered for many years. And this is his definition, which I think is important to take note. Your personal brand is a perception or emotion held by others. That's interesting, because we're always thinking about ourselves, right? But it's really about what other people think of you and the outstanding qualities you portray, and builds a relationship with you. So it's almost like your personal brand's like a mirror to you, but it's also what people see. And we just saw that in those examples I showed you. You recognize probably most of them, and you could see that what they do to other people and their reputation with other people is the brand. Does that make sense? All good? Okay. So here is our, like when we go deep, for instance, with the whole program with people and company teams, do a lot of company teams, do a lot of individuals. These are the 4 steps we take you through. And one is discover your brand, your vision, principles of personal brand, the role models, the brand platform. So we're going to go through a few of these things today. Then you define your brand. And that's where you get into your role, your best role, your best standards, your style, what people think of you. And we do that with the surveys. So it goes deep into that. We won't do that today, but it's just aware that when you get the feedback in this process, it really helps build your brand. And it's a real confidence builder, mostly. I mean, generally speaking, people are really pointing out your best values. The next thing we get into is design your brand style. And this is fun. This is where it's all your colors, it's what's beautiful to you, your best look, your brand storyboard. And this is where you bring your brand to life, okay? And how you look, how you feel, what you say. And it's really a fun step. And then the fourth step is going forward with a complimentary resume. You also have a single page personal brand that you can take with you, how you use social media, how you're making a difference, you're leveraging your brand style to your utmost, and you can always check in with us for 21 days to see how we're doing and how you're doing. And usually it's much more than 21 days. We've had great relationships with people for months on end, and it's a great experience. All right, back here. So the first thing I want to ask is, and if you're all listening, we can take just a few minutes here, and I'm going to this is probably the most important thing we're going to do today, and that is where you see yourself in 3 to 5 years, in your best. Like, this is dream. This is your best vision of yourself, what you're doing, maybe where the location is, where you are, and what you're doing, who you're with, and just take a few minutes, you can just relax here and just spend a little time thinking about where you want to be. Where do you see yourself? And in 3 to 5 years. And be complimentary, please. Be your best. This is your chance to vision your best self. Okay. You've did that, and what you're seeing now, that is the beginning of your best personal brand. Because explain this a little bit more. I've done this with workshops, and including myself. It's like that is the dream you want to live, and what happens is your brain starts focusing and walking towards that. And what we're going to do now is go through some tactical steps to become that. And of course, it's your choice. There's no mandate here. It's really free will. It's free desire to be whatever you want to be. And it may be that you're great where you are. Fabulous. Maybe you just need to fine tune a few things. But that vision is sort of where I know in my life, this was a very powerful tool since I was in college. All of a sudden I had a vision. I knew I was going there, and I started walking that way. And this is your rudder. This is your guide. It's going to take you to where you want to be. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Let's go to the next one. All right. So now we're going to discover the brand. And, we live in a new world, right? We wear masks. We have social distancing. And it's a very changed world. And this presentation today is relating to those changes culturally. Okay? So your personal brand platform. The more clarity you have about why you do what you do, the greater chance of achieving your objectives, which was the vision you were seeing. So there's 3 critical, important things to think about in creating your platform. One is your role. What's your best role with others? And some of you might be really good, like a really good like trial lawyer. That's your best role. Someone else may be, I'm really good as writing code. I may be really good at an athlete. I may be good at a whole bunch of stuff. But your role with others is a very important part of a personal brand, clearly. Then there is your standards. Now, this is a very interesting thing because I'm sure we all hold ourselves to certain standards, and people look at us for standards. Like, let's say you're always a little late. That's a standard. Another one is you're always on time. That's a standard. Where we can always rely on her to get it done. That's a standard. Well, we're not so sure about him because he works all night long on code, and we don't know if we're going to get a hold of him right now. So the standards is how we do it, and people always notice our standards. And then there's our style, how we relate to others. And it doesn't mean we all have to be the big people in the room. It's not like that. It's more like it's just who we are. It's our best style. Maybe we're kind, considerate. Maybe we're the leader. Maybe we're the big guy in the room who talks real loud. But it's okay as long as we know our style and we can live it and be on purpose with it. So what we're going to do is take this thinking and go here. So these are 3 questions. We can take a few minutes right now just to write down in your thoughts, this is your value, your brand value. So what is your best role? And your best role for you, but for others, okay? So that's really important. Like maybe you're really good in finance. Maybe you're really good like detailing things. Maybe you're really good in front of public people, speaking, talking, enjoying yourself. Whatever that is, what is your best role? And it can be your job. Maybe it is your career. That's your best role. That's great. Okay. And your standards. What do you hold yourself to be working with other people, like being with other people? And those things again can be aspirational, and they can also be important to you. These are all important things, but the standards is what you hold yourself accountable to in any type of situation. And it may be a role, like maybe you're a spouse. So what's your standard as a spouse? Or it may be like socially. Well, what's your standard being socially? And I know some people that they're really good at this, and they're always the same person wherever you meet them. You can always rely on these people, and you trust them, and they're going to get it done. And same way, another person they're very authoritative, and they're always authoritative. Well, that makes me a little uncomfortable, but so I'm going to move around them to the left because they're not really listening to me. That happens a lot in companies. And then there's the other type of boss or leader who is really empathetic. They listen, they're kind, they help you, they want to understand what you're doing. So those are all standards in qualities of what people demonstrate. And then there's your style. So your style is how you look, how you're in front of people, how you, what languages you speak. That's a great style. Like everybody knows, I don't even try to speak Portuguese, though I should. They know Gil only speaks English. Well, great, that's fine. So that's definitely part of my style. Another style is someone who always wears really exotic clothes and long dresses and their hair, and they have all kinds of jewelry. And if they showed up in a small, simple, clean black skirt and black sunglasses and hair really coiffed back, who are you? I wouldn't even recognize you. So these are things that your style, they all fit together to create your platform. It's a style, your standards, and your role. So in this process, you're thinking right now probably, okay, and again, this takes a little time to think about your best role, your standards, and your best style. And maybe now is a good time to just jot down some notes, think about it, and then come back later and review it and spend a little time with this. This is really the anchor to your personal brand, is these three things. Because, and you're determining this, so it's self-determination. Okay? So next, I'm going to define your brand. Okay, and we're live, we're on Zoom, just like everybody here is on Zoom in this picture. It used to be you define your brand by your clothes, your presence, but nowadays, and I think this is going to be around for a while, but hopefully not too long, it's all on screens. And what's really funny about, I love this picture, because look, everybody's like, they're not thinking about what they look like. They're not making a presentation. Look at Roger Edwards. He's looking down on the mic. He's not even looking at the people. That guy's he's the talker. You see his screen's all lit up. And then there's like this other guy, Norman Lamont. Look at him. There's all this junk behind him. And then you know what happens is we see this every day on the news. Like they're all zooming in and talking. And some people really have it together. It's a beautiful room. It's really nice. They have a couple of key books you want to notice, by the way. You see them. And you get a sense for this person. Another person like is in his kitchen. He's got junk everywhere. And I remember this. This guy was the former Secretary of Defense from Obama. And his kitchen was a mess. But he was leaning over, just talking like really into it. And you can say, okay, that's a style. Great, I'm in it. I'm in your style. But you may want to take a little time. Now, what the chamber does, which I'm seeing right now, is they use the Zoom screen. They have a custom one for the Brazil chamber. So it's always good. It looks clean. It's very professional, and you know. And then and you see this on TV too. Some people have their perfect screen of the mountains in the background or their city, a lot of cities in the background behind people talking. And that's fine too, because then you know they're from wherever they're from. But it's purposeful. It's just like getting dressed for a meeting and you want to look your best. Your screen is your best. So what I have is I have a piece of artwork, very simple, behind me that my father did. He was a very well-renowned artist, designer. So it's very simple, but at least you're looking at me, right? And you see, oh yeah, there's a little color back there. That's interesting. But it's not like taking away the attention of me talking to you guys. Like if you looked at any of these screens, most of them just have junk and piles of stuff behind them. They're curious though. Maybe you want to make curiosity. Maybe you want people to say, well, what is that behind there? That's totally your truth. Okay. So when we muted, whoops.
Unmuted now.
Okay, I'm good. All right. So here you have your standards on your left. Now, the bottom line of once you do your standards is you develop your ethos. Your ethos is the thing you tell yourself every day. Like you get ready to go to work, you're getting ready to do something, and you say to yourself, you know, let's go, or I'm going to be my best today. I'm going to be very confident, or I'm going to be very thoughtful today. I'm going to help you. And we spend a lot of time helping people develop their ethos. It's a big thing with a simple word. And that is the mojo that motivates you every day to be your best. Okay? So that's the object of the ethos. The brand promise is what you promised other people? And again, it's to yourself. You're sitting there, you're talking to someone, and you remember that I'm going to make my promise to that person or to everyone is to help you be better, or to help make a difference, or to listen. That's a good that's a good one, because I rather talk than listen. So I remember that. I always say, for me, it's like, together, how can we make a win? That's my personal promise. How can we make a win? And it's together because I really like working with other people. And so these are you have your roles, style, and standards. Now you have your ethos, your top value. You're never going to compromise to yourself. And that is, and you can be on the subway, you can be in a cab, you can be walking down Fifth Avenue, you can be on an airplane, you can be at a really important meeting, and it's all changing. But every time you change your settings, your ethos is with you. Okay? You go home, maybe your spouse is unhappy with you, your ethos is there. Okay? And then your brand promise is always there with you when you're talking to someone or when you're being with people. You're going to reach out to help them or listen. It could just be as simple as, okay, I'm going to listen, or I'm going to help, or I'm going to make sure that I am strong here so they don't affect me. That's another one. I mean, they're pretty personal, but they're for you going forward. Okay. So here we are. Here's your promise. So just think about right now for a few minutes, just think about what your ethos is to yourself. What is your mojo, your go-getter to yourself every day that you use. And you can discover this in our personal workshops. We do a lot of discovery here, but again, it's your ethos, that your driver every day. Then your promise to others. So important, because that's the building block of your relationship with everybody you work with, and how you can be your best, really. When the trick is, for me, I have to be honest, okay? The trick for me is you have to live this, right? And sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes you're in a really tough situation and you don't live your promise. You slide around to this. That's what I do. I slide around to the left, or I avoid it instead of walking through. So one of the things I do, one of my ethos is show up. Doesn't matter. Just show up. Be there. And that's the trick there. And my promise to others is, for me, it's like I said, is like, how can we win together? So, because I do so much working with people, and when I align with them, aligning is a key word here. When I align with them, I can help them and I can be part of the team. All right, go to the next slide. The perceptions. Okay, this is another big linchpin into developing a personal brand, is what others think of us. And I know it sounds scary, and it was for me. I've done it so many times, I can't tell you how many times I've done it. But amazing what it is, 90% of it is very complimentary, okay? And then there's a few things in there that people help show you that, man, you could really work on this a little bit, or you could be a little better here. You could do this and do that. So when we get into perceptions, we do a couple things. We do like a feedback survey, and this is one online. And we also do it like, let's say, oh, I don't want to do it online. I said, fine, we do interviews. We can do interviews. And either one, they come up with the same answers. Why? How did I know that? Because I did it both when I was doing the training. And I found out, wow, the interviews were saying the same thing as the survey. And that's because why? Because I'm the same person. And people relate to us in very similar ways. We're not too far away from the, whatever they say, that saying is, where you're not too far away from the source, is you're always, you're you. So, but the one thing that's helpful here is, yes, here you're looking at Janie Brown's, and there was a consistent sort of feedback she was getting that, you could be a little better with people, and she saw that, and wow, what a game changer it was for her. She saw that, wow, this is great, because I didn't know that. And this is really good for leadership roles, by the way. This is where the leaders are really clueless. Not, shouldn't say that, because I'm a leader, but I can be clueless, is that they don't know that how they're interacting with people. And it's important. And there's a responsibility. And where you go to the boardroom, or even when you're with your teams, it's really good to know where you can work on a little bit to be better. But again, you're seeing most of it is really good, and there's a few things they're calling out. So that's the value of feedback. Okay. So once you get the feedback, now you know how you want to be perceived and how others may perceive by others. You can work that. Like, this is what I always do. Before I go in a meeting, even if it's at the Brazil Chamber, I stop when I get off the elevator and just stop for 3 seconds and say, where am I at? And what are the 3 things I want to convey here that's in a positive way to the meeting? Once you know your brand, then you can manage the gap. You can manage it. You go, well, and then you can either say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That's a good, easy one. Or, I was really off here that day, and I just wanted to let you know I know that. Or it can be as simple as, yes, I'm paying you today. Don't worry about it. It's done. Because finances has a lot to do with personal branding too. How you do it, how you manage it, and how you are with others. It's just another piece of the pie. So what you learn to do then is manage the gap. Okay. We all know who this guy is, Richard Branson. And I love this quote. Success cannot be measured in wealth, fame, or power, but whether you have made a positive difference for others. And of course, he's a big guy in the room, but that's true for all of us, I think. And that really is, to me, is the essence of being your best. Okay, here we go. We're into style now. This is the fun part. No more heavy thinking. Okay, so here's what you do here. You see all these different types of people, right? All right, just take a look at them for a second. You see them there. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions. The first question is, who do you like the best here? Just in their appearance. Who do you like the best? And I know it only took like less than a second. It was very quick. That's because that's who we are. We're people. We judge everything. And we notice what people look like right away. Okay. So you picked out your 2 best. Now, let's flip this around. Ready? And pick out your 2 worst. The people you really can't relate to at all. You get a stomach ache just looking at them. All right? Didn't take long. All right, so the trick here is, that's what you just saw. These people are all wearing certain clothes that emulates their personal brand. And you made like a really quick assessment of these people. And that's it. That's why we do brand style. Because that platform you were discussing, your values, now we get to live it. We get to bring it out and wear it and be it in our brand style. And The other thing too, because I feel like sometimes we just think so much in words, lexicon, and that's who we are, but we're not. We're so much more than that. We're living, breathing human beings. We wear things, we eat things, we love things to do, we do all kinds of things, and that's all incorporated in our style. And that's where the relationships begin and the communication happens. Okay. Okay, here's the new brand style. By the way, I heard Watchmen, this is from Watchmen, the show, just got 23 nominations for Best Show. And if you haven't seen this show, it's really timely. It's a little intense, but they all wear masks. And this is before COVID, okay? I was watching this show, and it's so funny. Like, they're all wearing masks the whole show because they're all hiding from each other. And now these aren't like, obviously, he's got a hole where his mouth is and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is that this is such a bellwether show on the social issues that we've all been experiencing, very powerful. And also in the style of these masks is unbelievable. All the cops wear masks, all the bad guys wear masks. It's fun. It's fun that way, and it's relational. So I really got a kick out of this, that this was here, this show was here before we all started wearing masks. So here's a question. Do you get dressed, or do you dress for the occasion? And that's a very interesting question, because you're both doing something purposeful. You're being who you are, but this is important because now you know, I always wear blue, right? Or no, it's a special occasion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get dressed here. I'm going to wear these different colors. I'm going to wear these different shoes. And other people, no, they got it. They know who they are or what they want to be, and that's who they are. Okay. Sensei. So to design your brand style, you want to consider the senses, right? Something we never do. We may do a little bit, but we never really think about it. So hearing, if you're soft-spoken, no one can hear you, or all that plays a smell, the sense people wear or not wear, how they look, the vision, how things taste. Like, I know this happens all the time. Like, you go to reception, they're handing out the trays, you don't like it. It's not your food, or you love it. Wow, it's so incredible. Well, that's a reaction. Or you're with a friend, you're having coffee. If you're eating something really good, they look good. They look better. If you're happy with your food, they look better. It's just the way it is, because you're feeling good. And then there's the touch. I know we've all experienced this. Just we touch someone, either a hug, or just by accident you touch someone, and you get this like energy hitting you. And it's very positive, negative, in between. So all of these things, like I know we've all experienced this. I have to say this, because one time I shook this guy's hand, and it was so clammy, like I got so creeped out. And I said, oh my God. And then I shook in other people's hands where they practically break your hand. And what's that all about? But mostly people shake hands nicely, or they hug nicely. But it's interesting how all those things affect your sensate of the people you're with and their brand. So here's some facts. 83% of all information received is visual. Feel, 25% of a person's affinity is through touch. Sound, 90% of communication is nonverbal. That's a challenging one for me. But this was done, we did it with Kimberly Clark, and we really vetted. But so it's pretty good stuff. But communication is much more than what you say. It's how you are, the tonality of your voice, the mood you're in. It's a big one. And so it's a good thing to remember. Scent, 70%, 75% of our emotions are generated by smell. Very interesting. It stinks in here. I gotta get out of here. Or wow, it smells beautiful. I love it. It's so fresh. So you can see it quickly how your emotions are affected by your surrounding. Or you're in the train, someone really stinks next to you. It's awful. Like I hate that guy. Or you feel like wow, it's so beautiful. I'm walking through Bryant Park and it's the flowers are out and you feel like $1,000,000. Okay, and it's taste. And taste is actually, we think it's taste, but a lot of it's the smell. So the idea of if you go into your favorite restaurant, it smells great. You smell the dish you're ordering. It's really important to your taste. Okay. So let's talk about the new sensate. Okay, we were showing that before, but there they are. There's this one person. Look how different she looks with 4 different backgrounds. One is, she's sitting in her place. Looks pretty homey, friendly, inviting. Another one, she's in Paris. Okay, who doesn't love Paris, right? So then there is, she's sort of in a nightclub, I guess. So there's laser beams. And then she's sitting there like maybe a school teacher. But it's interesting, it's the same person, but how different they look for the screens they have. So just remember, 83% of all information is visual. So you're definitely affected. She's wearing the same clothes, but you're definitely affected by what you see behind you. Then there's the nonverbal piece. You're communicating, you're smiling, are you serious, you're alert, all affects you. And then the sense, consider how your feelings are coming across. And again, pretty much we're all the same. We're talking on screens all day long, and we do communicate our feelings. But it's important to know that just be aware of that when you're on your screens. Your beauty. Okay. People usually say, what's this? And I tell you right now, where do you feel your best? Now, some people, and I tell you, it's funny, I can show many more of these images, but it's very interesting the types, everybody chooses different things. They choose their favorite, but this is a very empowering thing because let's say you love the beach. I can tell you right now, if you love the beach and you're on that beach right now and it's 85 degrees and warm and sunny and the waves are coming in, you're feeling great, right? Like that's the thing. If you love the mountains and you're hiking, in somewhere in the Alps or wherever up in upstate in the Adirondacks, and that's your space, you generally feel really good. So what the point here is, it's your environment and it's your aesthetic to the environment that really can have an effect on you. And be prepared. Like, okay, this isn't my environment space. I don't like going, well, who doesn't like Central Park, right? You go to Central Park, everybody changes. They start smiling, they're relaxing, they're enjoying themselves. They no longer feel like they're in the swamp of the city. But let's say you don't hate the subways. Like they're terrible. I know people like that. They won't ride subways. And that's because they feel terrible there. So they rather walk on the streets. And then, this is interesting. What streets do you walk on? That's a very interesting thing. Well, I always like walking down Broadway downtown, right? And because I like the shops there. But I don't like walking on this street, or it's creepy there. And wherever you are, or these are feelings we have, and we can be our best, or we can be prepared to be our best when we're going to these different situations. And it's really fun when we do the workshops with people here, because they definitely have a very visceral reaction. I love hiking. I love the mountains. Great. Then what's funny about meadow golfers? Golfers always go with the meadow because it reminds them of being out on the golf course, and that's where they're the happiest. So, and it goes on. Some people, they come up with their own pictures of mountains. It happens a lot. Their own pictures of the woods. Woods is another one. But it's important that where you feel your best and know your beauty. Colors. What's a personal brand without knowing your colors and really liking your colors? So what you're looking at now is a color wheel of fabrics. And the essence of it is when you wear your colors that make you feel the best, you're feeling good. You feel confident, you're aware. And and what's funny is when you don't, because someone you're with a friend or something and you need a shirt real quick and they give you a color that you don't wear. How's that feel? You have to go through all these changes. Oh God, I have to wear brown. I don't look good in brown. Well, just put it on and shut up. You got to go. So you put a brown shirt on, and that's okay, but it's not you. And what's really funny is this is where your brand begins to have ownership. You start really knowing, man, when I wear red, I'm on my game. Or you feel like, I hate people in red. I'm going with the blue people. So these are choices we make all day long with the clothes people wear. All right. So think about your favorite colors and be purposeful about it. That's the trick. And purposeful making your best impression, but also that makes you feel the best. Because when you feel the best, you're making a good impression. It's real simple. Okay. The new brand style. So this is actually, I was in Germany in March, giving a talk just like this. And COVID, they were just closing the airport the next day. So everybody was doing, instead of shaking hands or touching, they were actually touching the booths. Now, that's probably not cool anymore, I'm sure, but it was the only way people were doing it at that time. And it was a great, interesting thing because I started noticing shoes. Shoes are such a big deal for people. How they look, how they feel, and how they want to be. So, great intro to this slide. What shoes emulate your brand the best? And without a doubt, I would say, of course, your shirt, your jackets, your pants, your skirts, they all say something. But nowadays, particularly, shoes are very all over the place. You can choose them. You can have your best brands. People have their best brands. That's another thing we work on. And people love that is choosing their best brands, their clothing brands. Maybe it's North Face, maybe it's Valentino, maybe it's something, maybe it's Steve Madden. There's all these choices out there. People love going to Anthropologie. People love going to some other stores. And that is part of your brand. No question about it. Because that's, as we notice, so what we see and what we, as you saw in that first slide with all those people lined up, you made decisions right there on who they were and what they're like. And a lot of times people are very attracted to people who wear similar clothes to them. They feel comfortable with them. Oh, they know me. I know them. We can relate. Oh, by the way, I love your shoes. Really? How many times have you heard that? Or I love that ring you're wearing. And that's a great way of building relationships, but also it's complementary, but it also is a way of connecting to people and demonstrating your own personal brand. And it can be conversely too, right? People work out, okay? Workout clothes are such a big deal now. You know that, right? We all see that. You go to the gym. Well, we don't go to the gym, but maybe you see running down the street now. And you state that's a style and it emulates your brand. What kind of clothes you're wearing? Do you do yoga? There's so many yoga clothes now. And what do you wear when you go do yoga? These are all parts of clothing making a statement to be your best. So what happens when you put all this information together? Now you start creating your brand storyboard. And this is a lot of fun, and it takes a certain amount of energy because what you're doing is you're creating a storyboard with pictures, imagery, and words. So we found out in feedback and working through the brand platform what your keywords are, all right? We worked on your brand essence already in that feedback process in creating the platform because we know what our ethos is, we know what our promise is, so we create this thing called your brand essence, right? So that's, but the pictures is where You just saw all those imagery, right? You saw the colors, you saw the photos. Now you bring it to life. And what I've noticed is this is such an empowering process. Really, to stop writing and get into pictures. It really is a challenging but really fun way to discover your best brand. So I'm going to take you through some examples, okay? So this is, again, the storyboard, and I'll take you around. So here's Darylyn. Darylyn helped me create the program. She's a design leader and really a good friend and confident. So over here, this is what people said about her. Creative leader, listener, connector, gets it done. And here's her key words: sincere, thoughtful, bold, intentional, confident. Then this is cool. This is a picture of her, actually, which I took. Then there's she loves the beach, and clearly it's tropical beach, right? She loves the beach, and she loves wine. She loves to make it. She's a Pisces. That's a little Pisces symbol there. This is like the food she loves. She loves the city. That's her dog. She loves doing workshops. She's really good at workshops. In fact, she did one with the chamber when we were creating the new website. She ran the persona workshop. And these are her colors. So, and this is her artwork. So when you look at this, wow, you get a strong sense. I almost know this person. I can connect with this person because I sort of see them. I feel their colors. I see their words. So you can see it's not only for the person who does the workshop, like Darylyn, but it's also for other people to see, like, wow, this is, I really feel like I know her. In fact, I'm the first one I ever did was with a CEO who was interviewing the next day, and he said, "Good, what do I do?" I said, "Show him your deck." He showed the deck along with his resume. He got the job because they know the guy, they know the interest, they feel like there's a relationship of already establishing. Here's a guy who he hires in tech, and if you know anything about hiring in tech, very competitive, very aggressive. So working with Don, he's collaborative, curious, cerebral, and consultative. That's where we got the feedback. This is his brand statements. Here's his brand essence: intelligent hiring. Let's be smart about this. And this is what he says, he tells people. And he really is a smart guy. He went to Wharton, so he's pretty qualified. Help leaders and their companies win. So he race car drives. He loves Hilton Head. And there's a great picture of him. And this is stonework, is from his house. So it's personal, but it's clean. This is how he developed it. This is Sarah. Some of you may have met Sarah. She did project management for me on the website. Sarah is outdoors. She loves the outdoors. And she's always going places to hike, travel. And these are her colors. And this is what people said: helping others meet their goals. Her manner is calm, on top of stuff. And then this is what her core is: able to go with the flow, but still understands XYZ to get things done. So you don't have to be a giant storyteller, but really, you're really emulating the essence of who you want to be and who you are. Here is Brand Ben. Here's a storyboard. So Ben is an architect. So here's his essence: I help create spaces that empower communities to thrive. And here's what his key words are: thoughtful, caring, considerate, out of the box, and industrious. And then this is his story. Like, we're starting to create, there's this building he's working on designing. This is his firm down here. He's graduating from Notre Dame. Here he is with his husband. And over here, he's in Germany in a place that was very special to him. And this is his family. So again, you get an idea of the storyboard. So then we take it, sort of like we just saw with Sarah. We take this workshop storyboard, and this is how it ended up. Grand Bend. That's the city he works in, Providence, Rhode Island. They do a lot of buildings there, and you're seeing his key words, and I help create spaces that empower communities to thrive. So you can see now through all the workshop, we're ending up where see how they end up in these really nice, clean, simple, beautiful expressions of the person. Oh, one more. That's me. So here's my workshop. And I've done a few of these, but I'm just showing you here my keywords: creative, smart, calm, passion, collaborate, metric, elevate. So these are things people told me. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? I didn't know I was like that, but it helped me, right? And then, what they said about my appearance, my intentions, manner, colors, black, blue, and red. Yeah, I know I forgot to put the black in there, but I put it in red. But anyway, here's me and my family. There's the artwork that I grew up with, my father. This is my biggest client, JP Morgan, I ever had. We redid everything for them at one phase of my career. That's me having fun. This is me, I always like riding my bike along the river. And this is just a symbol of, I think, globally. And this is where I went to school. I always, as you know, New York's been the best place for me to get business. And of course, I like the color and I create it. So that's my story, right? So then I take this and I simplify it into a single image, had it photographed, and this led me actually to build our website, designpersonalbrand.com, where you can go learn about all this stuff. But doing this workshop enabled me to actually build the website. That's where I'm going with it. And I think that looks like me. And there I am doing what I usually do, talking to people, helping them. And we're in our workshop area there where we work. So the other thing we do is we create your single page. And we structure it with your values. It could be your mission. It could be whatever your value and your promise. And then the photo. And this, your single page you use really as an attachment in a business meeting. We do vertical and horizontals on these so it can fit in with your deck. But at the end of the day, you get this whole deck, personal brand deck, and you get a single page as well that summarizes everything. So going forward, your personal brand, your personal and professional brands do intersect. Okay, that's really important. Okay, because we know what people are like. There's sometimes dissonance between, wow, they're really great here, but they're having a tough time at home, or but whatever. So they do intersect, particularly in social media. Okay, take credit for your brand. You've created it. That's probably the most important thing I'm saying here today. Be true to your brand. We talked about the gap, like live it. And now you have a rudder, you guide yourself with it. Listen to the signals to help guide and evolve your brand. You get signals, you get cues from people, from your own self. I said something wrong, I missed a train, whatever. They're cues to guide you and bring your brand and make it better. And then you live it, and you love it because it's you. And there's no better person to love than yourself, because then you love everybody. It's a lot easier to love other people. So the idea is that is going forward. Now, just a thought here. Another going forward slide. Live the values of your brand. Okay, so we studied our values, we hammered it out. So that's where that's your rudder. I guide you because you know, well, I'm on values. I feel good. Or I got to be brave. I got to step out and do that. That's my value. Then respect your brand. This is you. This is your brand. Treat it with respect and every idea of what that means to be respectful. And then be kind. Right? Really, we got to be kind to ourselves. Right? It's like, I know it's hard sometimes. The self-doubt comes in and the mind does all kinds of weird things, but just be kind. Just give yourself a break. Enjoy. And by the way, I'm listening to what I just said, okay? Because I need to hear that too. But it's such a powerful thing to be kind to yourself. Then think about social media as your brand ambassador. Okay. We all know this, right? This is self-explanatory. But I know for me, I have personal social media and then I have work social media. And they're slightly different, but I try to, I don't want to go way off and be something totally different. And you don't want to post anything that hurts anybody. That's real simple. In fact, it's better to compliment people. And I know there's a lot of, and then pick your course. Like if you're a politician, fabulous, do that. If you're really thoughtful about education, great, be that. And I think where it breaks down is, and we all do this, so I'm just as guilty as the next person. You do something wrong. You do something that's not well intended. You do something, well, why did someone do that? You know, and all of a sudden it's like it doesn't feel good. You just get a stomachache just even thinking about it. So, and the other thing is when people look for you, you just had an interview, what's the first thing they do? They go to social media. That's what they do. And they look at every picture. They search for you in every way. What are you doing on Pinterest? What are you doing on LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn's easy because that's your professional brand. But man, no question, Instagram, Facebook, all those tools are out there and they look at them all. And that doesn't mean to scare you. It just means to empower you. So just be aware of it. A strong brand is not being different. It's about the difference you make. And that's really the last message I'm going to make before I get into my commercial, which is only 2 slides. But a strong brand is not being different. It's about the difference you can make. And we know that's true because we've all been there. We help someone, help them open the door, they fall, we pick them up. I mean, whatever it is, but it's little things that can make a difference. And they can be big too. So I just really pushed out a lot of content to everybody. And now if you have questions, you can email them or send them to me. John, I don't see the questions on my screen.
Yeah, I've opened up everyone can unmute themselves if they have a question. And maybe best to raise your hand if you have one, then we'll take a look. So anyone has any questions? Oh, you got to have some. Gil, I have a question. I'll start off. Let's say, I mean, you emphasize a lot of the, sort of surveys and things like that, so you understand what other people think of you. What if you don't have that big a franchise, or you're just small? Just inordinate. Is there other ways to do this, or just
Sure.
Anecdotal, or
it can be whatever you want, but it's 3 people. It's really not a whole bunch of people. It could be, the minimum is 3. 3's fine. In fact, I did it once with this person. She was a big, important person in the National Football League. And she was head of marketing. And I said, well, can I get feedback? Because this part, and she was really into it. She said, okay, but I'm going to get it for you and send it to you. So she went ahead, did her research herself. She said, send me the email, and she managed it all and then sent it to me. Because she felt like confidence and all these other things. I mean, it's a very confidential thing anyway, but that's how she wanted to manage it. So it really is. And then other times they want me, I'm happy to call people and talk to them. It's only 5 questions we ask. And really the 5 questions is: 1, how long have you known each other? 2, at what capacity? 3, what are their best values? What do they best portray? And 4, any suggestions to help? That's the question. And again, people are on your page. I mean, that's good. And last is, what are the 3 key or 4 words that best describes this person? And I said best, because I think it's important. And so the key words, that's where they come from, is the interviews. So it's not you making them up. It's really feedback from people, which says a lot about your brand. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else have questions? I don't know.
I have a question, John.
Marcel.
Hey, how's everything? Thank you for your presentation. So we live in a world that, going forward, it's a chat world, where we speak through WhatsApp, we speak through SMS, we speak through Skype, through many different, channels, and it gets difficult to really, try to really express whatever you want to, as a message or verbalize it. So I wanted to ask you, what is the best approach to try to come up with a clear, simple message? Because nowadays, sometimes I write something, but the person, it's not seeing my, body language. And as you said on the presentation, 90% of our communication it's through the body. So is there any approach or insight or, tip that you would give, uh, you know, current professionals and even on a personal side on ways to express in order to to get things done, not to get confused? Is there any tips or insights?
Well, one thing, first of all, is just remember who you are, your best intentions, right? Because I mean, I feel those when I get texts from people. You use emojis and texting, and same thing with WhatsApp. Um, and so those I feel like you have to be yourself and express yourself the best. Now, generally speaking, I find that's pretty successful because I feel like I'm texting the same way as if I'm talking to them. I'm texting in the way I want them to hear me, right? I do this all the time. It's if I just stop for a second, because that's the trick, right? You get the message and you want to blast it right back. Well, just wait a few seconds. Maybe keep walking. Wait a minute, and then come back and text it. Because the few times where haven't done that, oh man, forget it. It's like, what do you mean? Particularly with my spouse, you got to be very careful how you text. But it's important to just sit back for a minute, remember who you are, your best qualities, and text that way. And same thing with WhatsApp. And another thing, the emojis do help. Like if you want to smile, you send a smile. If you want to send a heart, these are all, people understand those things. They get it. And they also get it when it's not. When you're like angry with them or something, they'll feel that. They see that in the text, even if it's just no with an exclamation mark, or right, we've all experienced that. So you do feel it. But I think the important thing there, like any type of communication, is be mindful of yourself first, and then decide how do I want to come across. And that we're only talking like 2 seconds, right? 3 seconds, but just step back, just get grounded or reassume it, and then come forward. And I find that the only other thing that's really important for me is listen. And if I can listen, really empathetic with someone, even if it is texting or WhatsApp or like, we send video clips now. We send a lot of little pictures, bang, video. Hey, here I am. I'm doing this. Just want to say hi. All the time is just remember your brand and be purposeful. And you'll be fine. You'll be good. Actually, you'll be real good. Sure.
I see a lot of folks that are also within corporations. I mean, clearly you have internal and external clients when you're in a bigger corporation. Without being so explicit, is there anything here, about how you do the same thing in that sort of setting? It's a different setting.
That's a great question. Because there's two things going on there. One is there's humans, there's people, right? Same thing, but and because we do a lot of this work with teams. So let's explain that process real quick. We do the personal for each person, and then we do the teamwork. And the teamwork has a lot to do with doing the same thing, discovering the brand together, the company brand, the value brand, the office brand. Offices have brands. You do that. Like you go to the law firms, right? It's just all feel different, but they're all have their brand. And the trick is if they're on the same page, they have a great senior partner, they have a great leader, then it just cascades down to everybody, as we know. So what we do there, in fact, I got a proposal right out now, is to do exactly that. They had an issue. There was an issue with a big firm, and they all of a sudden it got unraveled. There was a mistake. They were fired by a client, and then we got called in. We started talking about it. And it's very similar to where you have the corporate brand, which you see the value statements on the walls and stuff like that. But then you have the people. And the trick is the people and the brand have to be synchronized. And it usually, and we see this every day, it's the CEO, that poor guy or woman at the very top who's doing something off brand, or someone else is going off brand. And the whole, it's a house of cards. It collapsed. So the point is, if everybody, like we did this for a big project in DC, where a new high-tech company mandated by Congress, and everybody had to be on brand. And it was important that they did the workshops together so they could build that together. How'd I do?
That's great. And just to have a small follow-up, let's say I've seen this a number of times in my career. You have usually branding and so forth was always done a little above my pay grade, but the branding was poor. And you want to stick to brand and stuff like that, but you know, it's where is that? I mean, this is, again, it's a corporate setting. When you do your own, you face different problems, but that's sort of, what can you do there? I mean,
all right. Well, the good news is I've done a lot of corporate brands, big and small. We just did one in Saudi Arabia for the Saudi Aramco for a division of theirs. So it's the same process. First of all, everybody has to come together, and we do these series of workshops to get everybody on the same page. And it begins with the executive suite. It begins with the board and the executive suite. That's where it has to happen there first. And once they're on brand, and it's a discovery session, not dissimilar to what I was showing here, and they all out there. Now what happens is maybe someone actually leaves because they're frustrated. This isn't for me. I'm done. I'm out of here. There is decisions made at the C-suite through this process sometimes. But then at the end of the day, everybody's on the same page. They feel good about it. Then they can tell the divisions, they can tell the vice presidents, whatever the order of the company is. And then they do the similar workshops. And then it goes out to staff. Everybody does it. We can do it online. You get like 100 people doing it at the same time. But it's important when everybody's, quote, rowing in the same direction. And this can be really, the interesting thing is what if it's a developer in IT that's not on brand? That could be really a real problem because there's so much pressure on IT to perform and keep it up. And we did a lot of this work in this category. So it's the same process, John, but it's in teams and groups. And it works. It can be very, very effective. Like we did it with Lowe's, Best Buys, and it was very strong.
thank you.
Sure.
Sure, there's somebody else out there.
Well, we got 14 minutes left. If I'm open, I see some people I recognize here on the call. I won't embarrass you by saying your names, but thank you for coming. It's all been good. Now, I also, if you want, I can I have a few more slides to show, just sort of wrap up. And then if there's any other questions, you can reach out to me. I'll give you my email and my personal information on the last slide. So should we do that?
That's great. You have to share your screen again. I took it off.
All right, I'm sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay, so questions, feel free to email me, reach out anytime. I'm happy to talk to anybody. All right, go here, okay. All right, so here is, you're looking at the design plus personal brand. So I introduced you to the workshop today. So you can go to designpersonalbrand.com to find out more. And we were just talking about team workshops, one-on-one, online tools. There is my email, gil@personalbrand.com, and the phone number. And if you want to read Carl's book, it's I don't know, 500,000 copies sold in the last 20 years. But it's sort of like a primer for the value of personal brand and what it can be for you. And a lot of it I was discussing today as well, like your brand ethos and things like that. Also, I welcome you to listen to our podcast. You can go to designpersonalbrand.com/podcast. There's a link there. And all these people have done their personal brands. And we're having more and more. We're publishing a couple more this month. And it's very interesting to hear their stories. It's fun. It's a great conversation. And so you're welcome to go visit that and learn more. And you'll have your favorites, I'm sure. But they're all very good. There's a gin maker, guy who makes gin. There's someone who's a professor, doctorate in group dynamics. There's all kinds of people in there. And so I encourage you to do that. And a special thanks to the Chamber. I really appreciate your time in hosting us and all these great people that brought it all together to help me build this. And so.
Very good. Thank you very much, Gil. And just a note on a side, I mean, this type of introspection is really important. It seems like we only do it either when we're looking for a new job or we're starting our own concern. And I think it's important, no matter what role you're in, at whatever time, whatever your employment situation, if you're full-time, everything. And it's really was very useful to me. Listened to a couple of podcasts are really very good, Gil. So thank you very much.
Good. Well, thank you to everybody to jump in and listen. And it was really fun, and look forward to doing it some more.
Yes, thank you all for joining. Before I close, we're going to take a short break from webinars, and we'll return on Tuesday, September the 1st. We host a webinar on real estate in Brazil and the United States, challenges and opportunities at 10 a.m. in New York and 11 a.m. Brasilia. We hope to see you then. In the meantime, stay safe and healthy. Thank you again.